Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Everybody, welcome to the brand new launch of Bridging the Seen and Unseen. I'm so excited about this. This fits the narrative so well. My goal behind this podcast has always been to try to bridge the gap between paranormal and clergy. And everybody knows that I am a priest and I do believe in the paranormal. And I think having a platform like this is so very important. And it's so very important to me to really try to bridge this gap. So this is exciting to me. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of All Access. And Gwen, I just have to say, you have put in a tremendous amount of work in here. And that intro is amazing. You've done an amazing job. And I can't be happier with where we're at with it.
I'm great. Well, we have two great ladies coming on tonight. You want to introduce them?
Absolutely. These two ladies I've been trying to get on here for a good little while now, but they are some busybodies, and I know that. And it's a mother and daughter, and I am so pleased to have them. Michelle Roos and Brittney Bickett. Let's bring them on.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm so glad to finally have you guys here. I'm so glad to have you guys here. I've been trying to get you guys individually for seems like the longest time, and things haven't worked. But I'm so glad I can get it to where I can get you both together.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
thanks
a
for having
pleasure.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you start off just by telling us a little bit about yourself? Just a little bit. Because I know that you're a mother and daughter team, which I think is phenomenal. I wish more families were like that. But tell us a little bit about yourself, just so we have an idea.
Go ahead.
Nope, go ahead, mother.
So I am Brittney's mother. Next time you listen, daughter. But I am a demonologist and exorcist. I have been doing this for a while now. A lot of people don't understand. I don't do it for just getting fame from it. I actually do it because of the way I grew up and the nightmares that I had to deal with. So it became a personal journey for myself. Always knew there was paranormal around there. But again, during that time, we did not talk about it. It was taboo. So it was kind of one of those, when Brittney started showing a little bit of that as a child, I caught myself falling in that same realm. Oh, yeah, it's your imagination, knowing dang well it wasn't, but didn't know how to deal with it for myself. When I see things as a physical medium, I see them like I see you guys. And sometimes I have to, understand, is it real or not? But I see them at the time of their death. And so they're more of a nightmare to me. And that is when I finally found out, after many, many falls and still trying to, like you said, please everybody, because everything in the paranormal is a box, that I actually speak for spirit. I don't speak for the living. And as I started recognizing that, then my path actually started becoming a little smoother. I didn't have too many potholes. And then, of course, it ended up becoming even better when my daughter is like, I want to do this. I want to run around in the dark. Here's what I've been seeing. And I'm like, oh my God, she sees like I do, but in a little bit of a different way. But then she was understanding too. We speak for those who didn't have a voice. And that's how we're so much different than anybody else out there. We don't give readings. We don't do any of that. So, it's kind of one of those where we decided we got to start being true to ourselves. And we talk about the ministry, we bring that in. We go in the way we believe, but we also respect everybody else's beliefs. And that's kind of how we look at things case by case.
That's amazing. How about you, Britt?
Well, I feel like I don't have to say anything now. Mom just took it all away.
Sorry.
No, it's totally
Well,
fine.
I have a question for you. How do you see? Because I see things different than that. I don't see people as they were when they died. I see them as they, I'm assuming, choose for me to see them. A lot of them are younger, so it's interesting for me to, figure out what other people see too.
So I'm a lot like my mom. And honestly, I thought I was crazy for the longest time, like the entirety of my adult life, I feel like. But I see them as they are passed as well. So it's not fun for me. It's scary. I can be, I can run through a haunted location in the dark all by myself and until I can't, because then something will pop out at me and it's like, that's terrifying. You look like a zombie. Like, what happened? And then it terrifies me. But my, I guess, abilities, I don't really ever talk about them too much or in public. I actually tend to keep them silent. And if it comes out while I'm investigating with people, then surprise, then they're like, oh, wait a minute. But it kind of shifted for me. When I had like my first real awakening, I was able to do readings for the living and bring in their loved ones. And then I ended up having a really bad experience with that, to where the loved one that was passed on made me feel how they died. And I went into like a full-blown panic attack. So I had shut that down and I was like, I never want to experience that again. And then, like my mom, I'm in the demonology field. No, I'm not a demonologist or an exorcist, but I did work with the Roman Catholic Church doing exorcism cases. So I have that in my background. And then that's when all the dark stuff started happening and like my abilities kind of shifted. And now I see them that way. So that's fun.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You see, and we have a lot. We have a lot in common there because I am a parochial vicar for the Solomonic Order of Saint Michael the Archangel under Father Ken Torres, and I'm also an active clergy for the International Order of Exorcists. So I also deal with cases, and I work like that also. I started studying demonology and spiritual warfare in Bible college, and I was a full-time pastor of a Baptist church for 3 years. And I had families coming in and they had real issues, and the deacons would go up to them and they'd say, oh, we'll add you and your family onto the prayer list. And these people, they were scared to speak about what was really going on in their homes and in their families. And so I was finding myself talking to them outside of church, even in their homes, trying to help them. Because if they brought up the issues that they wanted to, then their family would have been labeled somewhat demonic. Everything in church for some reason is spiritual attack, means you're demonically attacked. And that is so far from the truth. It's not even funny. I've never agreed with that. I've studied theology for 28 years, and I've had my first paranormal experience when I was 10 years old. And I knew that there was a paranormal, and I also knew there was a way to deal with spiritual warfare. And I couldn't sit on the sidelines and accept being a full-time pastor, knowing that there's families out here that can't help themselves. And there's a church that says, oh, we'll put you on a prayer list, and not do anything for them. Paul said in the Bible, said the faith without works is what? Dead. And I'm not going to say my belief And in my calling in my life, I know without a shadow of a doubt, I am called to spiritual warfare ministry. I am called to exorcism ministry. I am called to help people that cannot help themselves. I am a voice for them. I want to show them a better way to handle situations, a theological way of clearing and cleansing of their homes. And it's just a different level. And I wish churches wouldn't push the demonic agenda so much, because a lot of what these families go through, they don't even fit the criteria of anywhere close to a demonic oppression or possession. They are a spiritual warfare. There is spiritual warfare there, but to say you're going to put them on a prayer list, but when they're dealing with issues and things of that nature, and you label it demonic right off, you're already putting a fear into that family 10 times worse than what they came in with.
True.
So I don't know what you guys feel about that, but I really try my best to refrain. I look at everything. It's like in the paranormal, one of my first rules is debunk everything obvious first. That's how I look into spiritual warfare. I don't look at what is right then. I look at what isn't. And if I can eliminate that, then I can see what's bright in that situation, what's lighting up in front of me in that situation, that I'm able to help that family better. And you said you're a demonologist. Where did you get to where you wanted to be a demonologist from? Because that's definitely not for everyone.
Because of what I seen and how I seen it.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is, so when I start seeing something that's very negative, whether not calling it all demons, but it shows itself, its true self. And when I mean that is, it shows itself in this creature type of situation, like the movie Alien. And so that's how it kind of lets me know, this person, you might have had it in the history books. This person was the greatest person ever, but behind closed doors, his spirit was like a demon. So it shows that monster self of that spirit.
Right.
So when you're seeing stuff like that, that's why I said this was my own journey. This wasn't to, go out there and I'm not going to say I don't run through the house with my cross and say demons be gone. But I'm also studying enough and looking at it enough that a lot of us, especially with social media and everything else, everybody's in that first stage of oppression.
Yeah.
We're there.
True.
And it's how do you work yourself out of that oppression? Doesn't mean it's demonic, but you already got that first doorway open to oppression to start getting all of that. A lot of the infestation people talk about is self-manifestations because of the oppression we're carrying. So, to deal with that kind of stuff, like Brittney, myself, when we're helping the churches, it's our sight that also helps guide them. Because again, not everything's demons. Right.
And I can't stress that enough, and people say, and the reason why I say that is because, if you try to go into a Baptist church and you talk about somebody having a paranormal issue, what's the first thing they're going to tell you?
They're going to ask you to go see a doctor. But here's the thing.
Or it's demonic.
Well, it's demonic, but okay. But when we go to church, no matter what the religion base is, because again, these are religion based that are made of man.
Right.
This is not the true spirit side.
Right.
So, if you can talk about, the Holy Spirits and you talk about angels and things, well, you know what? That can sound paranormal to anyone because the paranormal is the unknown.
Right.
So, when we talk, I try to keep that religion title out of things.
Yeah.
Because we all speak to a higher power, whoever that may be, in our own language, because we end up getting our own language to speak to who our Father is. And that's kind of how I have dealt with this, because again, I was trying to push myself in a little box. Brittney has tried to push herself in a little box. It doesn't work. One box does not fit all. And
That's right.
so I'm out
It's
here
definitely
now.
not a one box fit all.
No, it doesn't. And Brittney, chime in. I mean, you're really good at
You're
this
good.
too.
No,
I
you're
mean,
good. You're talking. I'm not going to interrupt.
oh, but when back in the day when I was on the phone, she sure did.
And I still
Mm.
do. Just, we're in a public space right now. I
Oh,
can't. I got to be good and controlled. Yeah.
You really don't. Not here.
That's
We
good
like
to know.
everybody's
Also,
opinion
don't
on
tempt
everything.
me.
Not one bit. I think it's. I just think it's amazing because, like, demonology is not for everyone. It's definitely not. And it even in Bible college, it kind of. I've seen it push people away, and I do feel like you have to have a certain calling in your life to want to pursue that. To want to, and like I said, when I had my paranormal experience when I was 10 years old, you could not tell me after that point that the paranormal didn't exist. There's no way you could have told me. I know what I saw. And I'm a realist. I'm someone that if I see it and I know it, then you can bet any amount of money that you have in your pocket that's what was seen. Because I'm not gonna ever say it's not. And I know what I saw.
well, and you have to remember too, when people say demonologist or demonology, they got to remember it's the study of.
Study up. Yep.
It's the study of. It doesn't make you this big, shining armor and stuff like
No.
that. It is you teaching, getting taught of how to deal with that other side and how to go with it.
Mhm.
Just like being an exorcist. I mean, the word is to, take out, get rid of. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be one. I want to be one. Well, you first got to understand the definition of what those are to be able to go down there. Just because it says demonology or demonologist does not mean you're the one all of give all, So it's the study of, it's preparing, and it was preparing me for what I was dealing with to help those who need it. So, it wasn't because of titles.
So you got yours. You got yours basically from the experiences you had.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's interesting. That's interesting because like I said, I think I was too young to really get into studying. Like I said, my first encounter was 10 years old, and I knew there was, but my whole life I've seen people dealing with stuff. I've seen, like, the very first time I ever saw a demonic anything was inside of a church.
And that's where you'll find it first.
Right.
Understand that, Brittney, you need to talk about that, because Brittney actually was involved in a case that in the churches and with the priest, that's where it went first. Go ahead.
Ooh, I'm going to try to make it short. So I was pulled in by the Roman Catholic Church out of Pennsylvania. Had never had experience in any of this, but I had known that, the darker, not necessarily demons, but the darker entities would always want to show themselves to me, and so I was always battling with, okay, so why? Is there something wrong with me? And then I realized, okay, I'm just a light. I'm intimidating. They want to take me out because they know that I can rid them. So I got pulled on to work this case out of New Orleans, and it was more so for my sight. So the priests, the church in general, could not get rid of this with just religion. So they wanted other different types of practices, or just any type of spiritual beliefs, to see what would happen. Um, long story short, 84 people ended up passing away. It was really, really bad. Saw some really terrible
84
things.
people.
Yes.
Yep. The father that I was extremely close to, that I would talk to, it's going to choke me up. Talk to all the time. It actually took his life as well. And I had talked to him 2 days prior from him passing. Like it was killing off literally everybody, the people involved, because it was created through religion and voodoo. So
Oh, that's
even
dangerous.
people,
That's
yeah,
so
so
dangerous.
even people from the Vatican were coming in. It was insane. Like it sounds like a Hollywood movie if I like actually detail the story for you.
Correct.
But it was so bad that even after like Father Monahan had passed, like I was receiving text messages from his phone in Latin. It was insane. I had seen him in person trying to lure me to things, and in that moment I was so weak that I was like just reaching for him until I was like, okay, this is not right. All the people that we were close with, that we worked with, that ended up dying, they would end up texting our phones in Latin, like all this crazy stuff.
All the people that were dying?
That were already dead. Yes.
Yep. They were already
Wow.
dead. So it was already using their spirits to keep trying to attack.
So it latched on to their soul link and was
Absolutely.
able, wow.
I would get text messages on my phone. I can't even tell you how many times a day. And I was living on Google Translate. And like even Father Monahan, after he had been dead for a couple of weeks, like he texted me all in Latin one night, and it started with like exactly what I was wearing, where I was sitting on the couch, the necklace I was wearing, and then it went into like, I have his soul, you'll never get him back, he's gonna burn in hell and damnation, like all this crazy stuff. It got to the point I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to work this anymore because I have 2 children at home. Like I am not bringing that crap to my house with my kids. So I left that, and it took a while. It was like, you know, when you go on an investigation, you have your paranormal hangover. Okay, this thing
Traumatized.
lasted. Yeah, you had it for like a month. Like I was just so drained. Like there was just weird stuff kind of happening in the house. But once I fully severed that bond, it stopped happening. But there is
Now, how were you able to do that? Like having the thoughts of 80 something people and then having residual come across your phone and stuff. How were you able to sever that?
a lot of work, a lot of shadow work, I actually went to therapy, back to therapy. I talked to Mom about it a lot. And she was already studying for her demonology stuff. So I'm like, okay, like I am not a demonologist. I'm in this world. I'm seeing it, but I don't know the study of, right? So she was giving me help, and actually, it sounds weird, but once I moved out of that house too, everything stopped.
Really?
Completely stopped, yes. So it was like it saturated the land and the house that I was in at that time, since I was working the case in
Because
this
you
one
were still
specific
living.
house. And so once I moved from there, not a peep, nothing. So then kind of fast forward, Mom and I have helped on other cases.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, you know, one of them did not turn out so well. And it's sad. And you're right. Like you said, Shane, like it's not meant for everyone. It's a calling.
Definitely.
But I know, like deep down in my soul, like this is what I'm here for.
Well, I
Like,
can feel it. I can feel your spirit even through this phone. I can feel that you guys are right in this. And you know, the Bible says that the spirit will comprehend the spirit, that we are children of God. So I believe that, you know, I'm comprehending everything that you're saying. You're comprehending everything. That's our spirits connecting on that point. I feel I was born for this. You know, God's number of completion is 7, right? 7. I was born 7/27/77 at 7 pounds 7 ounces at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, right?
So I honestly feel I was born for this. And that's the reason why, you know, a lot of when I go into demonic infestation or oppression, they don't like me. They will act up. One of my dialysis nurses, I was on the phone with her and she was having activity at her house and it was bad. It was bad. And guys, if you guys don't know, I have end-stage renal failure. I was born with 1 kidney, so I'm in dialysis 3 days a week. I'm a cancer survivor, and the chemotherapy and radiation destroyed my only kidney. So I am in dialysis, but you'll never tell. You would never be able to tell by looking at me. I'm active. I stay that way. But one of my nurses had a really bad issue, and I was on the phone with her one day, and I told her, I said, Jen, I said, let me tell you something. I said, these things don't like me. They don't like me at all. And I said, and it knows that I'm coming.
They do.
The second I said that, she said every door handle in her house shook and a hairbrush flew. And I heard it on the phone. A hairbrush flew past her from all the way from the other side of her house, smacked the wall right there in front of her. Then when I got there, because they had a particular mirror that was in there, and her daughter was seeing this thing at nighttime coming in and out of that mirror. The daughter was getting to a point to where she was going to start communicating. And I told Jen, I said, you have to stop that. You cannot let her do that. And I said, take and cover that mirror and get it out of your house. Put it outside of the house. So when I got to the house, the mirror was outside. Everything was out. I got in, went inside. And do you know that I investigated in there? And that thing that was so big and bad with her and her daughter played cat and mouse with me the entire night until I got the cleansing. Once I started cleansing, the theological cleansing that I do, it almost shook it up. Like the door handles were shaking. I mean, it just did not want me there. It did not want me to do what I was there to do. But once it was done, it was done. She has had no more issues. I'm going to be on a show off one of my cases called My Haunted Hometown. That's going to air. They told me February when it was, but obviously it's not going to be. But now I think it's more in the spring. But these people flew from Canada and they filmed my client, which was 30 minutes from here. And it was a case that I did there. And it was something similar. Two paranormal teams went in there. They could not figure it out, could not help this client at all. He felt like he was being isolated. He felt like a demonologist went in there, a priest went in there, could not help this person. My wife and I went in there, and not only did we identify, we were able to really confront and really clear and cleanse this house, and he has had no other issues since. And I take this very seriously. I take what we do very seriously. I take ministry very seriously. And there's too many people out here today that claim to be demonologist or exorcist or whatever they do, and they really should not be doing that, because I feel they're doing what we do in injustice, and I feel that they are trying to be something that they're not, and I'm scared that they're going to go into a real situation like what we have dealt with and end up getting hurt.
Well, and people got to realize you lose people with this too.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the oppression and all that is so much. And you got to, and if you're the person dealing with it, just like Brittney did, just like I do, when you lose it, you go through your own turmoil of guilt and everything else, because you sit and think, what else could I have done?
Yep,
so,
man, all the time.
This is not, that just a quick run in there and do that. I mean, Brittney spent a very long time on that case. We talked about it for a long time. The cases we work, and we don't just go in. I mean, we do a full intake. We look at every crick and cranny that
That's
there
what we
is.
do.
We also have to, balance mental health with what could be from the other side.
Yep.
So this is not just let's get a title and let's run around because I think it's going to make me famous.
That's right.
But then it has people like myself, you, Brittney, where we just kind of like, okay, we don't talk about it because, where they'll put us in that loop. And that's got to stop, because we are dealing with more darkness nowadays. Not every one of these haunted locations are unicorns and butterflies.
Right.
They start that way, but when you bring us into that place, well, guess what starts showing up? The truth behind the truth.
Yep.
And people go, oh, this can't happen. Go, Britt.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. Mom and I deal with this a lot everywhere we go, because we try to do everything together. When Mom and I investigate together, it is an entirely different experience I've ever had with anybody else. Like we know each other, obviously. We know how to work together. We know,
and I
what
think
our
that's
strengths.
Phenomenal, guys. I think it's phenomenal.
And we know each other's strengths, weaknesses, how to help when one's down, or whatever. So every location we go into, people are like, oh, you're never going to find anything dark here, and I don't even want to hear if there is, because it's just all this happy-go-lucky butterfly shit, right? Sorry for the language. And like Mom and I share this look, and we're like, okay, who's gonna tell them, right? So like we go and we'll wander off and go do our thing and do our own walkthrough. Sometimes we'll have people with us, but we just know, we just look at each other and we can read each other's minds, and we're like, okay, you see that? Oh, that's right. Yeah. And so they come out. It's like, hey, these two are here. Let's come out and play. And then when we've encountered, like, when you want to, when the location owner is like, hey, what did you experience? We've learned the hard way sometimes. Like, we tell them the truth and they get really pissed off. Like, how dare you? That is not my, and I'm like, it's just, it's a weird place to be in. And that's part of the box, I think, that Mom was talking about. Like, you can't be in a box.
No.
Even if you're just a paranormal investigator, like, how do you fit yourself in a box when you're in a paranormal, in a realm that has all of these things, right? And so, like, for us, I know that we are trying so hard to just be so unapologetically us. And at this point, we don't give a crap what people think. We see what we see. You're going to ask us. We're going to tell you. You don't like it. Bye.
That's why I'm so glad. I'm so glad to have you guys on here, because, guys, conversations like this need to happen. They need to happen more. They need to happen more in paranormal, because there are those idiot teams out there today. There are teams that go in that a client is desperate and they'll get a paranormal team in there that will just go up and stir up just to get a video on, and then have to deal with the repercussions of it. What are your thoughts behind that? Because I know my thoughts behind it, and I know it drives me absolutely insane for if I hear like a YouTuber or somebody like that, like my investigators that I go and I tell them first, my first thing that I said, debunk everything obvious first. And number two, stay away from a YouTube education. YouTube will ruin you, not only in paranormal, but everything else. And don't even try to think you can get into spiritual warfare from watching a YouTube channel. That is not going to happen. That's just
That
not going to
terrifies
happen.
me.
It,
It
I
does.
would
It
never-
does. It terrifies me too. It terrifies me because there's real evil out there.
Yeah, I can help you fix a tire and get rid of a demon all in one time.
That's
watching
what I'm
YouTube
saying. I
video,
mean,
right?
you guys see that picture? You guys see that picture of me that Gwen had me take where, because I'm Orthodox. I'm an Orthodox priest. And, you can see me, man, I look like I'm ready to fight a demon. So I mean, that's what I think of,
does.
when I took that picture, I'm like, look, I'm ready. I'm here, but I love this. I love this, and I hate this too. And the reason why I think I hate it is because I want to help everybody, but there's just some people you cannot help. And it burns me up because I'm like, if they would just listen to the voice of reason in this situation, your situation could get better.
But that's a hard part because
Yep.
again, everybody is ran by social media,
Yep.
shows, things like that, and then everybody thinks they're a professional. But here's the thing, that's why there are people like us out there. Because when it comes to, the nuts and bolts of things, we're going to go in and do what we need to do.
That's right.
If we know it's too much, we call people in. I mean, if I know there's a lot of, negative Native American stuff, we'll call in the right people. We're not afraid to call anybody in, where a lot of teams are because they want to be that one. But if you're going to do justice for families, you got to know what your lane is and stay in that lane.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to be going crisscross in a 4-lane highway. That's
right.
That well.
That's right.
And again, this is, what me and Brittney have just, looked at and said, we know our lane and we got to stay. And we also let them know, just because there's dark, negative energies in your place, it's not demonic. We got to get that out. But, when you go to a place that used to be an old brothel, think of how those women were treated. Think of the alcohol,
Right.
the bloodshed.
The trauma, the alcohol, the drugs, the prostitution.
Well, that right there is dark energy. And those women are angry. They're completely angry. So their spirit is showing that anger in a darker way.
That's an Agagorian spirit all day long, man. There's so much there that is just that it's just like a combustion of energy there. It's not.
They never had a voice.
Right.
And you got to remember that when they didn't have a voice, think of the women behind closed doors who used to get beat and their children, but you couldn't talk about it, and women back in the day didn't have black eyes. They didn't have stuff like that because they were beaten areas. Their clothing would cover them.
Right.
And that's how men got away with it, and women never spoke. So now you got all these angry women. They're gonna have a dark energy until you have people like myself, like Brittney, and probably some others out there that we haven't met, that will actually start giving them a voice and letting us know, hey, I was real. And then you can start breaking through that dark energy, because if you keep that dark energy, then you are opening up a portal for hell.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how we help a lot of spirits at a lot of these locations. You know, it's simply like, so we all have our things. I lay down on the ground, and Mom gets mad at me every time. She's like, there goes freaking Brittney. I just lay out flat on the ground in the location, because to me, it's like I'm getting on their level, and I want them to not be intimidated maybe by my height, which I'm really short, so that's crazy, right?
I'm
But
really
like,
short too, Brittney.
Me too.
Yay, fun size. So, you know, to me, I don't know. Like, I guess I think of myself, like, if I was in that position, like, I would want someone calm, laying down, cool, collected, and then you welcome them, right? So we do that a lot. Once we get into that, I guess, that like level of communication, then we start telling their stories. And then you can start seeing like flickers of light within the room after a while. Like, it's beautiful. And you start seeing, like, you know, what people call fairy lights. And then you just feel like this beautiful, airy, I don't know, wind, I guess, kind of come through. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, if you ever want an experience, come ghost hunting with Mom and I, because we will certainly deliver.
I definitely, and I was going to talk to you guys about that too, because there's several I would love to go out with. I'd love to go investigate with you guys. I definitely would. I think that would be a phenomenal experience. We haven't talked about it, but how about you all's paranormal team? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, again, this kind of wraps up into our experience. How can we help more people with like-minded people? And so we put together Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, because I'm, of course, in Iowa, but we needed to spread it out. So what we do is we actually do events. And the events, the money that we actually make, 50% of that goes to historical preservation of these locations. The other 50%.
You guys rock. You guys rock. That is phenomenal.
Goes into a fund that nobody gets paid. Everybody's volunteer. But we use that in case we have to stay overnight in a hotel, because anybody that calls us for help, we never charge, ever. We haven't done it for years. Brittney, you know, spearheads everything in Indiana. I do Iowa. You know, we have people that will travel. I mean, we have a certain area that will travel if we need to. So we never see any proceeds of any of that. Unless people want to hire us to come and speak at a convention, you know, then that's a little different. We don't charge a lot, but we feel like the way the paranormal field is right now, it's time for something fresh. And
preach, please preach.
And there's also some of those proceeds too, like we'll even split up for like what goes back into our like RIP fund to help continue like booking these events. We give back to veterans and veteran families in need.
Awesome. That's phenomenal. That's so good. That's so good. You know,
yeah, we're here for everybody. We're here for the world.
That's great. That's great. That's great. That's great.
The world.
That's right. That's right. Hey, that's funny how you said that, because let me tell you something. I really latched on with Brittney because I've been watching her, but I really got on when I heard her sing a worship song one day on a paranormal page.
Yeah.
And I could not believe. I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" And I was like, I messaged you, Brittney. I messaged you, and I said, I really needed. That was awesome. You know, I said, "Were you a worship leader?" I mean, you've got a phenomenal voice to you.
Thank you. Singing is my passion for sure, and I actually sing at every haunted location because I like to sing to the spirits.
They love it too, don't they?
I would. I'm telling you, I would come to you, and I'd probably be trying to dance. You know, like I mean, you got such a soothing voice, and I mean it. I don't mean
do that before each event, and we do it before we go to a private. We have certain songs we play on the radio. We'll blast it. We sing on the top of our lungs. We just get everything just a big bubble of light, you know, before we go in and do any of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a thing that the whole team does, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
And
that,
then and
that's
then
so
I'll
good.
typically I'll just sing like Amazing Grace a cappella and just open up the whole
Yeah,
location.
you were in the vehicle. You were sitting in the vehicle singing, and I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, and it was so good because like I had just got done and I was scrolling through, and all I was seeing was all this paranormal drama, all this kind of stuff going on. The he said, she said, and also boom, there's Brittney.
Boop, there she is.
There she is. And I'm like,
Did that
whoa,
to me
well,
too. Boop, there she was.
she just changed it all up right there. Thanks, Brittany. You know,
I'm here for you. I'm taking
yeah,
right now.
seriously. But I mean, it did. It made the mood lighter. I mean, it was so refreshing to hear you sing that, and it's so refreshing knowing that you guys are of the same faith, and you know that we share the same passion in this. You know, and let me ask you, like, how important do you guys think it is? Because I think it's dire that there is a bridge that we should be pushing, you know, for bridging paranormal and clergy. Like what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm kind of 50-50 on that because I don't ever want anybody to feel like we're pushing them towards a religion or anything
No,
that they're not.
I'm not talking.
Okay.
No. I'm not talking about like our belief as clergy. I'm talking like as a belief. So you could be shaman. You could be. I mean anything.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm talking about like the bridging of all that into the paranormal, so that we are available to help as many people as possible.
Okay.
Oh, I'm 100% for that then. Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely would never try to push an agenda on anybody else. My goal is never to do that. I've never understood those kind of like those back pocket track pushers because they you know they're like they're kind of the ones that will take the Bible and hit you across the head with them. You know, I mean, and I just that's not a way to get to anybody. You know,
The only
Start like
agenda.
this network. Sorry, you know, like they used to have the psychic hotline. It could be
Oh Lord.
press 1 for shaman, press 2 for demonologist, press 3, and then it would be a huge.
Right. And see, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do with this is I want to invite different. I want to invite shaman. I want to invite I even want to invite, you know, oh my gosh.
Brittany, I cut you
Like
off.
witches, like what
Oh, witches.
I'm looking no, not
Sam.
Wiccan.
Not Wiccan.
What is what they
Pagan?
do called?
Pagans.
No. There's another name. God,
You're
man.
a wizard, Harry. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of I just had it. Golly, man.
Okay, Brittany, while he's thinking,
It'll come back to you.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I was just gonna say the only agenda that I will push is coffee. So
Me too.
just give me coffee and I'm happy. That's
Yeah.
the only agenda I'm gonna
Yeah.
push. You want to hang out? I need my certain bougie coffee. That's the only thing
Oh,
I'm
no.
this about.
You guys,
coffee.
I hate interrupting. We got like 8 minutes left.
That's good.
Okay.
So while Shane can try to think, why don't you tell us how to let everybody get in touch with you?
Yeah, please, both of you.
Please.
No, go for it.
They can you guys can actually follow both myself and Brittany on Facebook. But we also have a page for Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, which will have like all of our events and everything. And remember, the events that you come and see and do with us also pays back to the communities. So, you know, it's a pay it forward kind of deal. We won't be out standing there with a little plate asking for, you know, time. Promise. And let's see, we got a lot of things going on. if you guys want to join us for some real good paranormal experience, me and Brittney will be in Ireland in September.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous.
So, and we're also working on another. We're going to be at the Paranormal Rock Down together.
Awesome.
And, you know, what we're doing is just really trying to get out there. We want to start really rebuilding the paranormal field the way it should be and what it was meant to be to begin with.
Awesome. That is so
And
good.
what's
guys.
better than a mother-daughter team?
Oh, I know. I had to
I think
have
you guys are
on.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys
Oh, and the word I was looking for was a cult.
Oh,
And
oh,
occultist.
okay.
You know, yeah, I was saying like pagan, occultist, like, but I want to have all that too, you know, like, because I want to understand, you know, because I've got a thing. It's like, you know, personally, I don't use Ouija boards on an investigation. I don't use them, and it's a spiritual belief for me. I don't use them. But I don't condemn anybody else, because if they work for you, then they work for you. They just do not work for me.
Well, and
So-
that's the thing. We have to be open-minded, because everybody has the right to think the way they want.
Absolutely.
And as long as we go in with what our strongest belief is or our intentions, we're
Mhm.
always protected.
Yep.
And that's something a lot of people have to remember when we're out doing this stuff. You
That's
know,
it.
we don't, just because there's a page for people who are in a cult doesn't mean you have to like that page.
Right.
But you have to at least understand what are their thinkings, how do they work, if they ever needed help. And
Yep.
that's what we got to do. We got to start bringing education a little bit more into this instead of 5 minute of famers.
Preach.
And see,
Preach,
I am all
preach,
about
preach.
that. Like,
That is-
I want to learn everything.
That's
Like,
so
even-
good.
That's me
even-
too.
I know it sounds crazy. Even like Satanism, like
Yep.
I am very intrigued because I love the way the brain works and the mind works. Like
Yep,
I
yep.
want to sit down with somebody like that
Yeah.
and be
Yes.
like, okay, please tell me how you got here, what actually happens, who's
Yeah.
you know what
Exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
you
I
guys
freaking
keep
love it.
tuned. You guys keep tune of this broadcast here, because you guys are the first for this, which it's an honor
Yeah.
having you guys. You guys
Yeah.
are the very first, but I am going to find, and I'm going to have, and if you guys know people like occult, Buddhist, anything of that, I mean, I even want to like message somebody from Islam, because I've got some questions on jinns and things of that nature. You know,
Ooh, boy.
I know.
Nasty. They're
But
nasty.
I've got a person that will tell you that it depends. Like she said, there's good jinns and bad jinns, and I'm like, you know, I've heard totally different on that. I've heard,
She's correct. Yeah.
yeah,
As long as you worship, or not worship, as long as you, how do you say it?
respect.
Respect them, then they're good. But
Yeah.
the first time they feel disrespected, just like fairies,
Yeah,
guess what? You in trouble.
and they can
Yeah.
lock in. They can lock into anything too. Like she told me that that she had a key, and she had to put a key inside, because the key kept ending back up like in the door, and she was having to change the locks because it was breaking the key off like in the door. So she had to take that key and take it out, and she put it in this jar, and she keeps it, and it's sealed. And she's like, well, you know, if you ever take this key out and you're disrespectful with it, then you know, stuff will start happening to you too. And I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy. You know,
No,
like,
it's true.
Well, I'm gonna end this with I got bit on the butt cheek by one. So
A
there's
gin?
that.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
So there's that. I know we have to go, but I just wanted to, you know, end it with
hold
that.
on,
make you come back for more.
hold on.
But
no, we
I
gotta
gotta tell you, the gens, though, one thing that a lot of them will talk, if you talk to a lot of our veterans who served over in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, I know. I do know that.
Yeah.
Attachments. They were getting attachments of gens because they didn't know what was going on. And so
Yes.
that seemed like disrespect when they were going and doing what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And then, so they're real things. But again, it's every.
Sorry.
Yeah. She actually took pictures of it. Okay.
I do. I have video and a picture.
See,
Sean.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
my twinsy, and that's mom's adopted son, Larry. So
Yeah, Shane, it's Larry Easler. Yeah, he's
Larry,
saying,
yeah.
"Just leave
I
that
had him.
cliffhanger." Yeah.
I had him on my old show. I had him on my old show.
boom, loser. You're a loser, Larry. We're on the new one.
We're on
That's
the
right.
new
But
one.
I already talked to Larry. I already talked to him, and I'm like, after you guys get done with your whole filming thing that you have going on, I'd like to have all three of you on.
That would be cool.
Ooh, okay.
That would be.
So I
You
want to have
guys,
all
we
three
got
of
like
you.
one more minute, and then I got to
Okay,
flip
bye.
over to my
All right,
serial
guys,
killer
listen, thank you so very much for coming on. You guys have been a blast, and I'd like to have you back, but after you guys get done filming, let's get back together and let's do a round 2 on this.
Sounds good.
That'd be
Thank you
great.
guys so much.
All right,
It's been
you ladies
Thank
have a
you.
great night. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right, you ready
Wow.
to sign out real quick?
Wow. Hey, tell me that wasn't a good show, guys. That was an awesome
They were
show.
wonderful. I hope you're watching. You
Phenomenal.
guys are wonderful.
Phenomenal ladies. I appreciate them so very much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for supporting this. This has been a great launch. I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy that this platform is being started, that we could really make a change in here in bridging this gap. And like I said, if you know anybody of the occult or anybody that wants to come on and speak, I want to hear from you. So get with me, get with Gwen, and let's get something together because I want more of that on this channel. So you guys have an awesome night. You know, be blessed always and stay spooky, people. Peace.